Good morning, everybody, and welcome to PSG of Mercer County. And happy Aloha Friday as well. Of course, I like to celebrate Aloha Friday with my Aloha or Hawaiian shirt. So that's something I like to do. All of you are welcome to do so. Some people are able to do so. But in addition to being Aloha Friday, it's actually also National Donut Day. And National Donut Day seems perfect for a job seeker support group like ours, because when we do have landings, we do like to celebrate. And some people like to celebrate by bringing in donuts or donut holes. So it seems to be a very appropriate celebration today. For those of you visiting us, I want to let you know that PSG of Mercer County is a group here for you and anyone who is in any sort of career transition. It doesn't matter why you're in a career transition or what the cause was. We are here to help provide you information, connections to others, a little bit of support, what you need to be more efficient and effective in your own job search. One of the things that we do have is our LinkedIn group. Our LinkedIn group is called PSG of Mercer County. I do invite you to visit it on LinkedIn. If you are not yet a member of our LinkedIn group, please join the LinkedIn group. Click the join button. I check about once a week for people that have recently joined, and then in that way, I will let you in. If I don't know you or recognize your name, I may send you a LinkedIn in-mail just to connect with you before accepting you, because we only accept into our LinkedIn group people that have been to at least one of our in-person or virtual meetings. We're trying to keep the name collectors, the list collectors out, and really keep the group for people that are in a career transition. And what that means is the likelihood of you reaching out to anybody in the group for any kind of assistance is probably pretty high as compared to other groups. Some groups, people join and they just want to get the information, they're not givers. But people who are job searchers generally are very good at giving and sharing as well. So we want to make sure that that is something that you do. Reach out to people in our LinkedIn group that's likely that they will help you in your job search. We do, of course, also have our website. Our website is psgofmercercounty.org. It is a resource for you. It's over 120 pages of content that will help you learn more about things that you need for your job search. Maybe you're getting started. Maybe you need a kickstart. Maybe you think you're making some kind of change, like instead of working full-time, you want to work as a consultant or even considering buying a business. We've got pages that begin to talk about that. It's not the be-all and end-all of those topics, but they could be great starting points, and this is one resource that summarizes all of that information. So the ground rules for today are just letting you know in just a moment, and actually as I'm talking, I'm going to let Marty share his screen. So he has a presentation, slide deck, so he'll be sharing it. Marty did make that available to us. It will be available later on our website. Marty is going to go through the slides, but in terms of questions and answers, he wants this to be as interactive experience for you as possible, so you can ask questions anytime, and to do so, we use chat. Chat is in the upper right corner of your GoToMeeting screen. It's a little circular icon with a tab, so just click in there. And then you have two ways of doing this. One is you can actually just type the word question, and that'll be the digital equivalent of raising your hand. I'll be monitoring the chat, and if I see that someone has typed the word question, then what we'll do is recognize you, and you can ask Marty the question right away. The second option is you can actually type the word question followed by your question. And I do ask you to do both. Type the word question followed by a question, because it does help me make sure that I see the question among all the other content that may be posted by some of us that we do like to share. So you can either type the word question or type the word question followed by the question, and I will read the question in that way. And so we're going to do it as interactively as we can. Marty does have a couple of breakpoints where he'll make sure if there are no questions yet, give you an opportunity to ask, and of course, plenty of time at the end as well. When we wrap up the meeting in a little while, just probably over an hour or so, we're going to keep the session open for a little while longer. It'll be kind of like hanging around the meeting room the way we used to. The recording will be turned off, but it'll be a nice way to just talk about whatever is on our mind. If you want to talk about the weather or something with your job search or anything in between, all topics will be all available to us. So that is what we have. And so it looks like we're all set to go. And I'm just very pleased to welcome today our good friend, Marty Latman. Marty Latman, called by many people as the best networker they know, is a people helper and a matchmaker. After spending many years in the C-suite as a CFO, COO, and CTO, Marty left corporate America to start his own firm, Latman Advisory Services. Marty is a CPA, a business and career coach, and mentor. He helps people at all levels in the techniques they need to find the job they want. Over 1,200 people have told him that through his help, they've landed the position they desired. You can reach Marty at martylatman@gmail.com, also at 201-919-2607, and you can link with him on LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn/in/Marty Latman. I know I went fast. I will put that in chat, and it's also going to be at the end of the slide deck as well. PSG of Mercer County is very pleased to welcome the best networker I know, Marty Latman.
Thank you, Dave. Could everybody see the screen?
Yes, we see it. Yes, okay. See the full screen. Okay. Yes.
Now everybody's going to get a test on what David gave all the information about me on. Okay, we'll take that towards the end. This is your time, everyone. So feel free to just if you have any questions, stop me and we'll cover it as we go, as David said. So these are the items I want to discuss today. Talk about job search strategies, determining what you want to do, which is really a key. Researching the job market today, selecting your target companies, the types of jobs that people are hiring for today. Obviously, then the tools that you need to find the jobs, and we'll talk about the basic things we have, the big four as we call it, to find a position. I'll talk about creating your matrices and your goals for your search, and then evaluating your search results, and then we'll just wrap it up. Okay, so buckle your seatbelts, everybody, and let's have some fun. Strategies today. Number one, which is always there, it's keeping a positive attitude. Negative and depressed people do not get hired. That's the bottom line. Everybody lands, so keep that in mind as you go through it every day. You will have some ups and downs, obviously, but everybody lands. It's just a matter of when. You can control certain parts of your journey to land, but there are other parts you cannot control. Those that you cannot control, just let it go. There's nothing you can do. Don't waste the energy on it. Control the items that you can control, but be positive because everyone will land. What you want to do, obviously, is determine what you want to do now. Okay, going forward, do you want to stay in the same career that you currently have been in? Do you want to change careers? Do you want to work for different types of companies? Okay, so take a look today. Research what the current jobs are and really what the future jobs are. There are things that are coming in the future that 5 years ago we didn't even think about, and they are almost here. So we should really be looking not only in today's job market, but what we anticipate will happen in the future. Then obviously it's a matter of selecting the target companies where you want to land, where you want to be part of. You want to utilize the research librarians. And they are extremely helpful. I think at times very underutilized. Their job is to help us. And so take advantage of them at this juncture. Okay. We'll talk about identifying people of influence, what I call the POIs. These are the movers and shakers, the connectors, etc. Talk about developing a toolbox, the documents that you need in the toolbox. Using the big four approach. And also during this time, one of the strategies you have to look at is to become a giver and a helper. Okay, that's really what you have to do. He who gives will get the most in return. And I found that most people who are in transition they give and they help each other, and that's really important. Okay. In determining what you want to do, look at this. Look at your work history. Take a look at where you've worked before. Okay. See in doing it what you like to do and what things you didn't like to do. At the same time, look at your personal life, things you like to do and things you might not like to do, and then put them down. Look at your resume. Go through the resume and look at places that you worked at, and look at the things that you did that you really enjoyed, but then question it and say, do I still want to do that? Do I still like that? Or am I past that? At the same time, things that you may not have had an opportunity to do, but you really want to try to do it now, and so put it on your list. Take a yellow pad and draw a line down the middle. On one side, put things I like to do, things I don't like to do, and then what you want to do, prioritize these likes and dislikes. And then what you might want to do is look at the top 5, and based upon the top 5, it will give you a really good indication on the type of position that you would be looking for. So keep that in mind. Okay. Also, you want to see what's your passion. Really, what really gets your juices flowing. What really is something that you really want to do. Okay, and consider that, because you don't want to get a position when you land on something that you really don't want to do. Okay, find something that will really excite you, something will motivate you, and so come Sunday evening, you're anxious to go start work on Monday. Okay, so think about that as you go through this. And obviously you have to assess your current skills and see if they will be appropriate for the position that you might want to work at. But at the same time, look and see what are the skills that I do not have, that I lack, that I really need to acquire, or even those skills that I currently have, what do I have to enhance to get the roles that I'm looking for? And this is really a big assessment situation that you have to go through. And this creates the foundation for you to really start looking for the jobs that you want. Now, as I said, you want to look at the current and the future jobs. You can research current job roles today. You want to look at also what the future jobs are. You can read articles about the jobs today and some of the jobs that they forecast is going to happen in the future. You want to speak to different people as to what they see is currently going on in their industry or what they think will happen in their industry going forward. I mean, there was an article today in the newspapers even about United Airlines, and United Airlines is going to invest a lot of money right now into the supersonic jets. And those planes are going to change the way business is being handled today. A lot more travel, but the travel will be very quick. So it might adjust how people work. You might want to read the blogs today. Follow today's leaders. In LinkedIn, that makes it easy for you. You can follow right through LinkedIn, see what they have to say and what's going on today and what's in the future. Listen to those TED Talks and other types of forums where you'll hear people talk about what's happening today and what's happening in the future. And, let your mind wander at times. Think, what am I, let's take a look at where we are today and what do I think is going to happen in the future? What do I think I really want to do in the future? And at the same time, when you do all this and you're looking at all this research, keep in mind what skills you may need in the future that you do not have today, that you will have to develop along the way. And at the same time, keep in mind the age factor. Okay. The age factor can affect numerous things. Okay, obviously there's ageism in today's job market to consider, but at the same time, you might want to look and say, okay, if the role that I want may require a certain degree that I do not have, and if I have to get that degree, how long is it going to take me to get that degree or that certification? And when I do it, how old will I be? And then will ageism be a factor in my finding the position that I really want? So keep that in mind as you go through this. In selecting the target companies, just remember, the more targets you have, generally the shorter will be your search. Your target company will help you focus, okay? Help you really laser focus on what you have to do to get the position you want. At the same time, target companies enable others to help you. If you show the individuals these are your target companies, they might have connections in that target company to help you get into it, or they might raise questions, say, I really don't have any contacts in that target company, but I do in your target company's competitor. You want to speak to that individual, and if you do, you can find out what's happening at the competitor, and also most competitors know what's going on at their competitors. So you're going to find out two different organizations. You could also find out what these individuals feel will happen in the future. Yeah. And as I said before, work with the research librarians. They'll help guide you to your target companies. They're really helpful. There's a number of databases that you have out there. Certain databases you can access from your home, but there are certain ones that you can only get in the library, and certain libraries only have access to certain databases because of the cost that's involved. And then do your research on your target companies. Gather as much information as you can to find out what's going on today and what they see is happening in the future for that organization. This is a place you might want to go. Data Axle. Okay, Data Axle is a company that acquired what used to be called Reference USA. Now the database has been renamed to Reference Solutions. So if you go out to Data Axle and look for a reference solution database, that will help you in looking at different targets. Now at the same time, what Axle has done on reference solutions, there are actually 3 databases today. The first database is companies that they have that are currently hiring today. Then you have the main database of companies throughout the United States with a lot of information about the organization. Even if it's a private organization, you find out the revenue size, how many employees are out there, who's the executive officers, where is it located, what type of business is it by the SIC code. And if you use their filtering system that they have, Data Axle, on the reference solutions, you could really narrow down and say, all right, I want to know this cosmetic company within 25 miles of my zip code with revenues under $1 billion and employees more than 200. And the filtering system will enable you to find out which companies they are. And then if you could go back to the first database and see if they have positions or you can go from the ones that they have positions and then go into this database. And then the third database they have is of people. And that database has the executives at different companies. So from this database, you can find out who's in charge of the organization. You could then contact that individual, or what you can do is that you could, talk to your friends, your colleagues, and try to connect with those individuals. So this is really a wealth of information on companies in today's economy. The types of jobs that are hiring today, well, what I did is that I did a Google search. And going through Google search, I said, all right, what job titles are most hiring happening today? And we've got like 8 pages. And I just went through and I took a sampling, and I want to just show this as we go through to just give you an idea about what we looked at. You got administrative assistant, you got paralegal, office manager, teacher, driver, tutor, personal shopper, fulfillment specialist, loan coordinator, nurse, medical assistant, physical therapist, personal financial advisor, accountant, bookkeeper, insurance agent, real estate agent, dental hygienist, sales consultant, dietitian, business coach, website developer, writer or podcaster, software engineer. Now, these are just some of them, but if you started looking at them, you will see that a lot of these are really geared around service industries. Okay, so it's really service industries that are where most of the jobs are today. All right, and finding the position, as I said before, always be positive. And what you want to do, you want to create a toolbox of documents. One of the tools that you need in your tool bag, so to speak, is a powerful elevator pitch. And you really need multiple pitches. It's not just one. And in creating your elevator pitch, and I know a lot of people spend a lot of time doing that, there are 7 elements that you have to look at on the pitches. You want to look at what I call the 4 C's, where you want to have a clear message, tell people exactly what you're looking for. You want to have it concise, so it's not long-winded, generally under 90 seconds. You want to have it compelling, where it creates interest to the listener. And at the same time, you want to have it consistent, where it's repeated over and over and over again. Now, I don't want to put in your mind that you have to always say the same words on a consistent basis, because then sometimes you will lose the emotion when you deliver an elevator pitch. What I mean by consistent is that the general role that you want, or the message that you want to get across, you always want to have the same type of message. You can change some of the words in delivering that pitch, but you want it consistent. You want to be, let's say, a market analyst, okay? And you can put that in different words, but don't be a market analyst today and a trader tomorrow, okay, in your next pitch. Keep it consistent. And the other 3 elements that you have in your elevator pitch are the 3 W's. And the 3 W's, basically, you tell the listener who you are, what you do, and that is not title. That's a role that you do. Many companies have the same titles, but the job responsibilities for that title can be different. So you don't want to just say a title. You want to really talk about what role you you do? And what is your value to the listener? And that's really the key in your elevator pitch. In delivering your pitch, the listener wants to have in their mind, gee, if I work with this individual, how is that individual going to increase my value by what they do? And that's what you have to get across in your elevator pitch. Other things in your toolbox, in today's environment, we're going to get back into face-to-face meetings soon. You want a personal business card. You want a name badge when you're in your different different meetings. You want to create a brand for yourself. What people know you for. You're a turnaround specialist, or you're a marketing guru. You can give different situations, different types of things that you are. Think about it. If you think about the golden arches, what comes to your mind? And by creating a personal brand, that's what you're doing. When people hear certain things, they know you for this. You want to have a marketing plan, which is generally maybe a one-pager, which combines part of your resume with your target companies. You obviously need a resume. You need multiple resumes because, in my opinion, each resume that you send out should be tailored to the job specs. Now, we could argue how long a resume could be. Just remember this, there's no rules over here. There's no rules. There's certain etiquette you want to follow in all of this, but there's no rules. Generally in the resumes, people generally are expecting to look at a 2-page resume, but that doesn't mean it has to be 2 pages. Okay, so keep that in mind. You want to have a powerful LinkedIn profile, which would include a professional picture. And what I suggest you do is also for the roles that you're looking for, try to get recommendations on your LinkedIn profile, current recommendations from generally the people you've worked with before that's related to your role. This way, when people search you out on LinkedIn, they could read the recommendations and see you're really qualified for the position that they are looking to fill. You need to have your references. You need to have, I'll call it templates for cover letters and thank you notes that you send out, and you tweak them based upon the conversations that you've had. And I think at this point we could take a break. David, any questions so far?
Okay, there are no questions at the moment for the program. So remember, folks, if you're interested in asking Marty a question, well, now is one of the good times to do it. You can just type the word question in chat, the word question. That's like digitally raising your hand, and then we'll recognize you, and you can unmute and ask Marty. Another option would be you could type question followed by your question, and I will just read that to Marty. So if we want to just wait a moment, see if there are any questions. A good sized group, gotta have some questions. And
okay,
back to chat. Just going back. I don't see anything in chat just yet, but I will continue to keep my eyes open, Marty.
Okay, David, thank you. All right, let's talk about the Big Four approach to landing a new position. Okay, here's the Big Four. This hasn't really changed. Okay, it's networkers, it's recruiters, I'll call it social media, and direct mail. Now, the social media today, obviously, that has increased significantly, and you have to be out there today. You have to have a social media presence, and that's, LinkedIn, you work with the internet and different things, but you also have, social media on, classified ads that are still out there. Recruiters, you have to use them. There are good ones and there are bad ones. You should get recommendations from the people you work with, or their experience with the recruiters. At the same time, you should speak with recruiters before you start with them, and choose the recruiters that deal in the roles that you are looking for and the industry that you are looking for. Recruiters do specialize. And so what you want to do if you're in financial services, you want to speak with a recruiter who deals with financial services. If the recruiter deals with manufacturing and not financial services, you might say hello to you, but they'll never have positions for you. So you have to consider that. Networking, this is what you call the gold standard. It's networking, networking, networking. You want to find the hidden job market that we talk about today? You do it through networking. Networking has all the power. At the same time, there are other ways you can find the position. You can buy a franchise or a business you can buy. You could also do consulting, contract work. These are other alternatives to finding a position, which are these over here. Let's talk about networking for a second. What you want to do, obviously, in networking is you want to build relationships. And that's what networking really is. And in doing this, you want to get to know people. And a lot of people feel, well, that's it. That if I get to know this person, this is great. This is what I'm going to do. And this is my networking. But that's only half the equation. You really have to get to know people, but at the same time, which it might be even more important, is you want to get people to know you. Know what you're looking for, know what your characteristics are, know what your passion is, know what you do real well, what type of job you're looking for. Because when they know you, number one, they could be looking out for positions they might come across, their desk or in their emails. That they say, well, not for me, but it might be for David. Okay, David's looking in, consulting. This might be for David in IT. Okay. At the same time, they might be speaking with different people, and the people who they speak to may say, I'm looking for someone to help develop my website. And do you know anybody who could possibly help me? And if you know David, you could pass it on to David. Yeah, why don't you give David Shuckman a call? David's really good in what he does. Okay. So that's why in networking, power in that you have all these people who you have relationships with who know you, and they have their eyes and ears open for you too. So these people get to help you in your relationship, and that's what makes networking so powerful. And when you network, you want to, I call it, you want to have air. That's what you're looking for, air. You want to get advice from people in your network. You want to get information from them. And you want to get referrals. I could become a liar and add an L to it, and you also want to get leads. But let's just talk about the air that you need right now. When should you network? Well, obviously when you're in transition. Also when you're working, and this is what happens many times, is that you're in transition, you build your network, you're contacting a lot of people, you land, and then you bury your head in the sand. Instead of networking when you're working, you were so in, you have so much work to do that you bury yourself in your work and you forget about your network. Don't do that. Spend time when you're working also networking. Obviously, you're not going to spend the same amount of time, but network. People in your network, in my opinion, you should be contacting them at least once a year. When you need air, you network. When you need a shoulder to lean on, you network. Generally, it's all of the above. This is what you need when you network. Okay? It's what I call ABC. Always be connecting and connected. Okay? Connecting to new people on a regular basis, but at the same time, be connected with the people who are currently in your network. As I say, contact them at least once a year as a minimum. Okay? Who should you network with? Well, here's a nice list to take a look at. You got your family. Now you might want to say, well, what does my family know? Question that you should be asking yourself, does your family really know what you do? You should let them know about it. Okay, if they don't, so they can have their ears open and they can pass the word to their friends about you. You have your friends and friends of your family members, your current and past business colleagues, your business customers and vendors, especially the vendors. Vendors can be very helpful to you, okay? Because they know that if they help you and you land the position, they're going to come knocking on your door and see if you can help them sell some of their wares to the company that you landed at. So they really can help you a lot. You got your college classmates and your alumni, your neighbors, your in-transition friends, okay, people who you interact with on a regular basis, These are the people who you see all the time, the people in the dry cleaners, people in the hair salons, people in your religious organizations, okay, the mailman, people who you come across every day. Just talk to them. Let them know what's going on, and they possibly could help you, okay? What you should do, if you haven't already, make a list of all your the people you know. And then what you do, as you contact them, mark it down on a list and have a follow-up with them. Mark when you have to do a follow-up. This will help you administratively, okay, run your job search. There are certain types of apps where you could do this, electronically. But if you don't have the apps, do it manually. But make the list and follow through with it. And on your list, look for the people of influence. These are the movers and shakers. These are the people who can have others make decisions. Okay? These are the people who know a lot of people. And these are the people you want to network with. Okay? What networking groups? Because we're all in part of groups. Here's what you could look at. Alex is on the phone, in the meeting here today, and Alex has his list. You can go to landingexpert.com. It has a list of different groups out there. But what you might want to try, this one over here, this is new. I'm running this with several other people. Right now, it's in its final stage of development. mynetworkingcentral.com. You could go out to the site right now. You could take a look at it. Right now, as I say, it is in development stage. We expect it to have up and running by the end of this month. Okay, My Networking Central will be one place where you could go in and find different networking groups, different speakers at different networking groups, when the speakers are different networking groups. There'll be a couple of other things that we will be adding to it, but it's really a one-stop shop where you can find out very rapidly what organizations are out there, when they meet, who the speakers will be for this type of meeting, etc. So it's a big change in what we've had today. where when you're in transition, well, you have to rely on people to tell you about different things you have to find out when each meeting goes on. This is one central area where you'll have all the information. Also, there's Google searches for different groups. Okay, you could say marketing networking groups in New York metro area, and you get a list. Then you could contact these networking groups. You also have meetups, not only in this type of networking group for in transition, but for some of the things that you like to do, your hobbies, etc. And you'd be surprised by going to meetup, you can meet a lot of nice people. What I suggest you do is to join at least 4 networking groups. One networking group where people are employed in your industry, they're still employed. One networking group for people in transition in your industry or your profession. One networking group where members are in transition in multiple industries at different levels, which is like this one over here, PSG. And at least one with members employed in multiple industries at all different levels. Okay, so you get into these 4 different networking groups as a minimum, and you're covering your basis as to how you can find a position today. The other items you could do in networking, okay, you could attend volunteering groups, volunteer for something. Go to family functions, attend seminars or webinars. Okay, in the seminars, and they're going to start getting live again. There's always an opportunity to meet somebody face to face. You got your charitable events. You have your family events today. They're starting to resurge. And that, you have the soccer games, the baseball games, lacrosse, baseball, etc., basketball, where you get down to meet people. Okay. You also might want to go to the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce is very, very, has a lot of information of companies coming into the area and companies leaving. And it can give you a good insight of different people to contact. And then you have other groups, you have the alumni, you have the industry associations, you have professional associations, you got the Apex, you got ASM, SHRM, FEI, you also have ASCM, and just as I said before, your everyday opportunities, cleaners, hair salon, mailman, etc. These are the other places to network. On using recruiters, well, choose them wisely. You have to be able to build a relationship with a recruiter. You have to be able to trust them. Okay. You have to be open with them, and they have to be open with you. Choose based upon your target companies and your industries. You might want to check out the directory of executive recruiters. It's a Kennedy publication. They have it online, but also they still have it in the library. It lists all the recruiters across the nation. It lists, where they're located, what their specialties are, who's in charge, and how to contact them. And this way, you could get into the different networking, different recruiting companies, and start in having them get to know you, and you get to know them. You could get recommendations of your colleagues on different recruiters. Is this a good recruiter or is not a good recruiter? Okay. Keep that in mind. All right. You want to have a recruiter who really cares about you. Okay. And when you talk to a recruiter, you should interview them also. Ask them questions. What's their success rate? Okay. What's their main industries? Okay. What have they found is happening in today's job market? Speak with them. Get to know what their success rate is. Okay. Relating to social media, we all talk about it's a numbers game. You know, you got to get for every one position. I came across a statistic that said for every one position that is open for hiring today, there are at least 250 applications. Just think about that. For every one job, there's at least 250 applications. So how do you combat that? Well, you want to get known. Okay, and LinkedIn is a real good source. Obviously, it's probably the largest database today of people in the business world. And what you want to do, you want to get 100% complete profile. That includes a professional picture. I'm going to call it from the neck up or from the shoulders up. No sunglasses, okay? Just who you are, a nice smile, all right? We don't need a picture of your dog or your cat. We don't need you on your boat, or anything like that. Just a professional picture. And what you want to do is that in LinkedIn, you want to develop relationships. I call that do not collect baseball cards. Just that, oh, I have 16,000 connections. Well, how many people do you really communicate with? Well, maybe 50. That's collecting baseball cards. What you want to do is develop relationships with people that you have in your LinkedIn family. Get to know them, get them to know you. It really is helpful. Thank people for joining you on LinkedIn. Try and create a dialogue with people that you have in your LinkedIn group. Okay, and be a giver. Ask them, how could you help them? Okay, it's not about you. It's never about you. It's always about them. And when you help them, they help you. Okay. Social media, you also have Twitter. Okay. It's important today, to be on Twitter. You don't have to tweet, but you can be a Twitter follower. Okay. Follow other people and see what's going on in the threads. There's a lot of jobs on Twitter that you could apply to. There's also Clubhouse today. That's the latest and the greatest. It's really interesting to hear different people and to get known on Clubhouse. You also have Facebook, okay, where you establish a business profile on Facebook. But you want to get out there. Okay, what you want to do, if you're reading a thread in LinkedIn, make a comment on the thread. Don't just like it. Write something about it. Even just write, it's a very interesting article, I like it. You will get your name known as a result of it. At the same time, post things, original things you might want to write in LinkedIn. You could also post somebody else's article. And you'd be surprised if you post somebody else's article, the person who wrote that article may come back and join your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn group. So think about that. On direct mail, which really today a lot of people are starting to get into, it used to be used and then it was not for a long time. But in doing that, and direct mail, where you write a letter to a company, you could get the information about who to write to from Reference Solutions. Okay? And then you can also use Hoover, the database on Hoover. And speak to the research librarian. Okay. And then what you do, send a letter to the company head, indicating your skills. Okay. Who you are and what you do. That you're interested, that you did research about the company and you might have some questions. And maybe you ask 3 or 4 questions that they have. Do you think that your company is maximizing its market share? Create some questions that generally, are yes and no questions. And if there's at least one that could answer by no, indicate, look, if the answer is no to any of the above, maybe we should have a conversation that could really help you. I can be reached at so-and-so, this is my email, this is my phone number. if I don't hear from you in the next 2 weeks, I hope you don't mind, but I'll contact you. And this way you do direct contact with one of the individuals in the company. Okay. Ask for a meeting to discuss the issues with them. Okay. And as I say, create a time when you'll follow up with them. Okay. I suggest that when you write your direct mail letters, do not include a resume. By including a resume, okay, it'll go right to HR, and you do not want it to go down to HR. Okay. So just write the letter. In creating the matrix, what you want to do is set your weekly goals. How many calls do you want to make? How many interviews should you schedule? How many coffee meetings do you want to have? How many events do you want to attend? Which events should you attend? Just remember when you do all this, which networking groups you should visit, okay, which seminars you should attend. When you set your goals, make sure you have a follow-up time so you can get back to the people who you've spoken with, people who you met with. You want to make sure you have time to follow up. And then what you want to do, look at it and say, all right, I want to have this long-term goal. When do I want to be working? All right, that's what you want to do. So what you do, you break up your goals that you want to set your matrices. I say, set weekly goals, but do it in a 2-week horizon that is constantly rolling. So what you do is that you evaluate 1 week. That's what you do. You set your weekly goals. You set it for 2 weeks, a week apart. Then you look and say, all right, this week, did I meet my goals that I set last week that I was going to accomplish this week? Did I meet it? Okay. Do I evaluate, how good was my meeting? Did I achieve what I wanted? Get some feedback as to what's going on. Talk to people. I'd say create an inner circle, maybe 5 to maybe 7 people who you can speak with at any time. Tell them how your job search is going. Ask them for advice. Ask them for recommendation. Have them have them criticize what you're doing. Have them suggest different things you might want to do. And what you do, in doing this, get feedback from the people that you had an interview with. And you look at the number of reviews you have on LinkedIn, and compare all this with your goals that you had for this week. At the same time, you have next week's goal that you set last week. So what you want to do is revise this week, this up and coming week's goal, and add another week to that to make it a 2-week horizon. Okay? And then what you want to do is look about how you feel about your progress. Are you achieving what you want to do, or do you need to change your strategies? Think about it. Okay. Based upon your evaluation and the comments you get from different people, you might want to change it. You might want to modify it. But it's not the same necessarily, but you need to keep on evaluating where you are. Okay. And you might need assistance in your search. You might need a coach. You might need other people to help you on some of the things that you feel you're not strong with. If you need interviewing help, Alex is on the phone, on the call here. Alex is really good in prepping you for your interview. So think about that. And then what you want to do, revise your weekly goals. Change them, modify them. Just to wrap all this up, what you want to do in this search, you want to be ABP. Always be positive and be prepared. Okay, as I said, negative and depressed people do not get hired. Okay, what you want to do, prepare for the opportunities. They come on at any time. Okay, so always be prepared for an opportunity. You need to network all the time. Right? Always be connecting and connected. Always be networking. Think strategically. Develop the tools and the targets that you need. Use what I call the Big Four approach. Set your near and long-term goals. Monitor your progress. Just remember this, the two most important words that you want to have in your search are these. It depends. As I said, there's no rules in this. So your actions really depend upon the circumstances. Okay? You have to think strategically. Certain things that happened before may alter what you do today. So just don't do it because someone says you should be doing it. It depends upon the situation. Keep that in mind as you go through this journey. You might have to make adjustments. Okay? Just remember that in transition, it's a journey, and some parts you could control. There are others that you cannot control. Those that you cannot control, let it go. But what you want to do, you want to learn, you want to experiment, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as you go through this, and you'll land, because everybody lands. If you want to contact me, this is the test that David had for you early on, the memory test. But here it is. If you want to contact me, this is my cell number, and this is a good way, my email. And if you want to link with me, here it is over here. Okay. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Marty, there's one that came through from Amit. There seems to be a prevalent view that having hundreds of connections on LinkedIn is a great asset, and I've seen a lot of people have 500 plus connections. Is it really helpful unless you have developed a relationship with each of them?
Well, the overall, I look at it, it depends, number one. But generally, I would say what you want to do is that you want to have connections who you have built a relationship with. By just having somebody as a connection who you haven't spoken with or haven't really dealt with for a while, I don't feel will really help you. It's a matter of when you go through all this, that you want to have those relationships. So in doing that, my recommendation is if you have a certain number of people on LinkedIn and you haven't contacted them before or had a discussion with them, do it now, get to know them, get them to know you. So really what you want to do is you want to have quality connections who can really help you.
Terrific. Thank you. And remember, folks, if you'd like to ask a question, you could just post that quickly in chat, type the word question with your question in it, or just type the word question and we can unmute you and you can talk to Marty directly. I thought it was interesting to hear that statistic that you mentioned, that the odds of landing a job kind of online is really 1 in 250. And there was a University of Michigan study not long ago that your odds of getting a job through a job site application, which is online, is 1 in 250. Any of you who are not math majors, that's a 0.04% success rate. That's very low. I would not go to Atlantic City with those odds. However, employee referrals make up 7% of applicants. That's small, but 40% of hires. That's what the same University of Michigan study found. So you can wind up being very efficient and effective by networking your way in, getting to know more people and use those relationships to get you more information or maybe even access to the position. So employee referrals, while they only make up 7% of applicants, that's very small, but employee referral equals 40% of hires. And the reason why is the hiring managers really appreciate the referral because they don't know everybody, but they get a reference for somebody into the company. It's very helpful. So get to know more people.
Most definitely, David. I mean, you're right on target on that. When it comes to referrals, put yourself in the position of a hiring manager. If someone came to you and said, I'd like you to, speak to this individual. I know this individual, a really good quality candidate. That has some weight to it that you want to listen, interview that individual, meet with them, as opposed to just getting something, through the mail, just a resume. You have somebody who has now validated this individual as a quality person for the position. So it really makes a big difference if you get a referral.
Yeah, and the boss appreciates, you have a certain amount of professional capital within the company, and that's what you're leveraging through that relationship is that person's professional capital. So yeah, really can be a big help. Any other comments or questions before we move on and wrap up the meeting, folks? Nice sized group today, but a little quiet. That's okay. But this is your opportunity to. There's some nice cheers, and this is great resource. Some thank yous, and a lot of hellos. So a lot of people are using the chat to introduce themselves. And I will be downloading the chat a little bit later, and it will be made available on the PSG of Mercer County website. We have a link on every page. It's on the right side of every page called Meeting Presentation Documents. We are now attending a meeting. Marty gave a presentation. He has left us a document, which is the slide deck. And we will also have the link to the video and the chat file, so you can go back and look at this as well. But Marty, we are getting a bunch of thank yous in here for your presentation. So I certainly say absolutely true. Thank you so much. You are, needless to say, such a big supporter and of job seekers and friends of job seekers, and a helper and a giver. So we're so appreciative that you're one of our friends as well.
I have a quick question. When society opens back up, as we're getting closer and closer to doing now, how important do you think Zoom will still be once the society returns to, in the business society, returns to quote unquote normal?
Well, let's get the crystal ball out here. I think it's, personally, I think it's still going to be a big factor in today's environment. A lot of the businesses today, because of the services, they really don't have to have people come to the office, so to speak. There's been a lot of remote work that has been going on during this period of time, and many companies have seen that they can function accordingly. And as a result of it, a number of the organizations have really reduced their office space, their apprehension about doing remote processing, so to speak, remote business has changed during this period of time, in that of more of a favorable type situation where it's acceptable and people do it. So I think it still will be a large part of business in the future. That's a white crystal ball at the moment.
Well, that's a little clearer than my foggy crystal ball. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, clean the lens of your camera, Pat. That may help also.
I've tried. It doesn't work for me.
If you remember last week, we also had Alex Freund give a presentation on the bots, the interview bots. And so companies are using that more and more. So between the bots and, of course, these online platforms like Zoom and others, they help companies be a little bit more efficient, at least at the beginning of the process. And so, yeah, I agree with Marty. They're going to be here for a while. Yep, until the Terminators come. All right, folks. Well, yep. Thank you very much, Marty. Again, always a pleasure to have you present to us. I'm so glad you were able to do so. And folks, as we wrap up, just want to let you know a couple of things. Next week, we will be right back here, June 11th, and Mark Strano will be our presenter. Job hunting from your comfort zone. Is it helping or hindering? So he's going to have a very interesting perspective on the way you're doing job search now. So that's next week, the 11th. June 18th, Friday, June 18th at 10 o'clock, Valerie S. Williams will talk about Kickstart Your Job Search, the Essential Checklist. This is a very robust presentation on all the things you need to do in order to conduct a job search. It doesn't matter if you are a beginner and a novice or very experienced at it. She'll be talking about all those things. So that's what we have coming up over the next 2 weeks. And then next week, June 12th, Saturday, June 12th at 8 o'clock in the morning, the Breakfast Club of New Jersey will be presenting Jeff Benaldi. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, how to create a business that aligns with your passion. But align with your passion is the key. So it's not just about creating a business. It's lots of things related to job search. So you will want to go to thebreakfastclubnj.com, thebreakfastclubnj.com to get some connection info for that. Every Tuesday evening at 7:30, New Jersey Job Seekers, the oldest continuously running job seeker support group, will be meeting online and virtually. So please feel free to attend there. The meeting connection info is in the LinkedIn group, the PSG of Mercer County LinkedIn group. It's the same link every week. Mondays, of course, is PSG of Central New Jersey, one of our cousin organizations. They meet Mondays at 10:30, psgcnj.biz, psgcnj.biz. And I'm really interested in this Wednesday, PSG of Morris County, psgmc.org, psgmc.org. Wednesdays at 9:30, we'll be conducting a recruiters panel. There are 4 recruiters, both external agency and internal recruiters. Will be the panelists, and you will be the questioners. We will take your questions. The reason why I say we is I've been asked to be the moderator or the host, so I will be moderating. So it's a nice honor and pleasure. So thank you for that invitation. So that's what's coming up over the next week. Again, you can check that out at psgmc.org. Or we're going to wrap up in just a minute, and John Sampson is still on the line, and I'm sure he'll be able to talk more about that as well. So, and Carol is still on the call as well. You can talk to her about PSG of Central New Jersey if you'd like. And so anyway, we look forward to seeing you hopefully very soon in person, but until then, we'll look forward to seeing you virtually. And we'll simply say right now, bye everybody.